You mentioned leading during 9/11. You were also a leader during the Great Recession. What, in those instances, what were you looking for from the federal government? What kind of support, leadership, other guidance were you looking for from the big federal government?
Yeah, true story. The day after the attacks of 9/11, and you'll recall those days. I mean, we didn't know when the second shoe was going to drop, but we assumed it could happen at any moment. We didn't know if it would be another, attack as spectacular as those airplanes, or if it would be a bio attack, or people might poison the water supply, or we had no idea. Our imaginations were revving. And in Baltimore, because of our geography, these attacks had happened to our west with in Somerset County, Pennsylvania, where the airplane went down, to the south at the Pentagon, where a number of Marylanders were themselves killed, and also to our north in New York, where I, in fact, had been headed that day before I abruptly turned around and sped home. That afternoon, as this eerie silence came over my city by 4 p.m. when it should have been evening rush hour, no cars on the street, I vowed that we were going to make our city a leader in Homeland Security, whatever the hell that meant. And I didn't know at the time. But I vowed that we were going to become a leader. The very next morning, I was up early, and I was lighting up the phones, calling everybody I possibly could in Washington, looking for answers. I was getting no answers. I was getting no guidance. And in desperation, I called my former boss and mentor, Gary Hart, U.S. Senator from Colorado, who, along with Warren Rudman, Republican Senator from, I believe, New Hampshire, had been very involved in crafting the Little Red report on America's security needs in the 21st century, where a year or two before the 9/11 attacks, they had in essence predicted that this was going to be the threat of the future, was terror attacks on the homeland. And I asked Senator Hart, I said, look, I'm calling Washington, nobody's giving me answers. So where can I call in Washington to get answers? He said to me, you're not going to find answers in Washington. And you're foolish if you keep calling there for answers. Assemble your own Baltimore security cabinet, if you will. Get smart people from Hopkins, from Aberdeen Proving Ground, from Fort Detrick, where they know about bioterror and chemical warfare. Get them all in a room together, and smart people will help you identify your greatest risks and the action you can take to mitigate these risks. Because when these guys come back a second time, you want your city on the list of the more prepared, not on the least prepared. And so that's what we did. We crafted in the course of that 13 core principles, actually 12, that we followed, 12 core capacities that we sought to build up every day in every way, from interoperable communications to a biosurveillance system, hospital surge capacity, which has become very much the talk of this pandemic. And we worked to improve those capacities every day, and we had an all hazards approach to it, that we wanted to exercise and work these capacities regardless of whether or not we were experiencing a terror attack. They were supposed to help us every day to improve the health, well-being, and security of our citizens. And that's what we did. Did it as governor as well, and for 8 years led the NGA efforts on Homeland Security.